Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to another week of technology class. I'm really excited today. I have another Canva activity for you, but this week we're researching the Chicano Rights movement. Let's get into it. All right, y'all, welcome. We're going to jump into Canva once again. Make sure you click on the videos in the center of the screen to watch the YouTube videos. As you can tell, I've added a few things in our classroom for the Chicano Rights movement. If you click here on Viva la Huelga, you will be able to check out our West High School Walkouts podcast, where part of the Chicano Rights movement happened here in Denver, Colorado. And at West High School, the students walked out because some teachers were saying some racist things to students. So check that out if you get a chance. Otherwise, let's go. All right, I wanted to share with you a music video that I made. I made a song about Vicente Guerrero, and he was a key figure in the Mexican Revolution. And I wrote a rap song and a poem to honor Vicente Guerrero and tell his story. But I also jumped into Canva, and in Canva I created this poster called La Patria es Primero, My Motherland Comes First. That's one of Vicente Guerrero's most famous dichos or sayings. And Vicente Guerrero, he was black. His father was Afro-Mexicano, and his mother was a native. And so he was mixed. He's Afro-Mestizo and the first black president in the Americas. So check out the music video when you get a chance. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so let's jump in. So this week, we're going to learn about the Chicano Rights movement, and we're going to use Canva to create posters like the poster you see here. This is Viva la Huelga. A lot of Chicanos in the West worked in the fields, and so they went on strike and did a bunch of different actions and advocated for themselves so they could get better pay and fair working conditions. A Chicano is someone who lives in the United States but is of Mexican heritage, and a lot of people make the choice to identify as Chicano. And being a Chicano is important to a lot of people. So you can check out this poem by Manuel Gonzalez about how he feels about being a Chicano. And so again, it's someone who is native or descendants of Mexican heritage and who lives in the United States. And so this is really important for a lot of reasons. This is a map of the Western United States, and everything in gray used to be Mexico. And part of Texas, part of this area used to be Mexico as well. But the United States fought a war with Mexico, the Mexican-American War. And after the war was over, they signed a treaty called the Treaty de Guadalupe Hidalgo. And that meant that all of this land, California, Nevada, Utah, part of Colorado, Arizona, Nuevo Mexico, and Texas, then became part of the United States. And it was Mexico. So there were a lot of people that lived in this land, and they were Mexicans. But now after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, they were now living in the United States. So a lot of people started calling themselves Chicanos after the Mexica. So it's important to remember that Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, California, Nuevo Mexico, Texas were all part of Mexico. And like Mexicans have been here since the beginning. And so since before it was the United States. So what can we do? Many people in America don't know about the Chicano Rights movement, and it's not taught a lot in schools, and we need to change that. So this week we're going to create artistic posters to support the Chicano Rights movement using Canva. So back in the day, in the 1960s, it was about farm workers and rights for farm workers. It still is that. People are still fighting for those rights. But now it's also about immigration. It's also about segregation and communities. A lot of issues that the Black Lives Matter movement is fighting to change, the Chicano Rights movement also fought to change. So it's important that we work together. I really like this poster. It says, "I am somebody, together we are strong." And it really reminds me of the "I Am a Man" in the Poor People's Campaign that Martin Luther King led right before he was assassinated. And so these movements are so tightly connected. So let's join the lucha and let's create some really awesome posters to support our Chicano brothers and sisters. So on this next slide, these are important figures in Chicano rights history and some Chicano rights activists. They advocated for Chicanos and for Black people, for people all over the world. So the first person is Cesar Chavez. There's been a lot of movies created about Cesar Chavez. But if you click on the link, you'll be able to see a short video that may give you more information about Cesar Chavez, and you might want to make your poster about him. Then there's also Dolores Huerta. You might recognize this picture because it is in the Confluence Center, painted on the wall. Dolores Huerta is really important, and she worked hand in hand with Cesar Chavez. Then there's Sylvia Mendez. Sylvia Mendez, this is a new activist that I've learned about. Sylvia Mendez actually grew up in California, and she went to segregated schools. Now, a lot of times when we talk about segregation, we think about the South and Black and white people being separated, and there being Black parts of the bus and white parts of the bus, like white people sat in the front, Black people in the back, or even standing up and going to separate schools, right? But Sylvia Mendez and her classmates in California, there was a school that was just for Mexicans and a school for whites. And in this video, you hear her tell her story about segregation and segregated schools. And then my favorite is Corky Gonzalez. Corky Gonzalez has a huge history here in Denver, and he was a huge activist, Chicano rights activist. He learned from Cesar Chavez, worked with Cesar Chavez, and performed a lot of actions out here that changed a lot of lives, especially the West High School walkouts that was organized by Corky Gonzalez. So all you need to do is click on the name of one of the activists, and you'll go to a video or a website that gives you more information about that person for your poster. Cool. Now, just like last week, you can also make one, use a slogan like Viva la Huelga or any slogan that you want that talks about Chicano rights. Okay. All right. Just a reminder to get to Canva. You're going to click on this link here. Join our classroom in Canva. You've already joined our class, so it's just going to go straight to your homepage, which is awesome. Cool. And then if I click all my designs, you can see the work that you've done last week. There's some other projects that I've been working on. And here's my Vicente Guerrero poster. So I'm going to click on my poster, and what I want to show you today is how to share it with the rest of the group, the rest of the Confluence Center group. Okay. If I go up here in the corner and I click share, then I see the Confluence Center. Then there should be an eyeball. If the eyeball is crossed out, that means that it's not shared and nobody can see it. But what I want to do is share it so we can see what everybody's doing and get some inspiration. So I'm going to click can view. Cool. So now students can view my work. All right. Then if I go home and I go to the Confluence Center, you can see it there. La Patria es Primero. And I can see other work that y'all have shared. And I know there's a lot more posters that have been done. So make sure that you click that share button so that we can all share in our brilliance and the creativity that y'all are showing. All right, boys and girls, have a great time with this project. Make some really awesome things. Learn about the Chicano rights movement. Many of you that are watching this video, after learning about the Chicano rights movement, might decide to identify as Chicano, and I think that's awesome, and that's why we're learning about it. It's really important to know our history, where we come from, and know how to advocate for our rights, advocacy is so important. All right, boys and girls, peace. See you next time.